Welcome back to another episode of the Philosophy of Chillin. I'm your host, Dunlap the Connect. And as you can see, I'm not here on the couch alone. I am joined by another individual, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
All right, hey y'all. My name is Faith Shamley, and I'm excited to be here today. I guess we'll dive into, who I am, my beliefs, what I stand for, my passions, all of that type of stuff. So I'm excited for y'all to get to know me better. And
Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation. Because I had a lot of questions for you, and they went in a lot of. Hey, sir. Hey, Onyx. Welcome back to another episode. We would like for you to chill out with us for real. Hey, calm down. Thank you. All right. Hey, sir. Ridiculous. Anyway,
okay.
I had a lot of questions for you that were going a lot of different ways, and it was interesting for me to figure out how to put that in an umbrella and theme that kind of associated all of the aspects of what I wanted to get into with you.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I came down to one that I feel really fits just the types of character that it takes to really do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I really wanted this episode to be about how to, show up and get through the perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
So with essentially going through the philosophy of how you apply your own version of perseverance. Hey, sir, she can't focus because of you. And neither can I. You over here going stupid. Thank you, Sam. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, perseverance.
Yeah, your own version. That's the first thing I just want to ask you. What was it like to figure that out for yourself?
To figure out perseverance and what that looks like.
For you.
Yeah. I think for me, especially being a young visionary and builder, perseverance is something you have to have. Point blank period. If you're building anything from the ground up, that's literally just a vision in your head to manifesting in the physical. There's a lot of obstacles that come up, not just from like first materializing that vision, but continuing it as well, because it's one thing to start something, but then also to continue it and also continue through the ebbs and flows of life. From personal things going on, financial, professional, whatever it might be, relational. So I had to really learn how to show up and be consistent and just push through, even when life wasn't easy or when things were unclear or uncertain or just didn't feel right. Sometimes perseverance looked like, all right, this might not be working, this version of this might not be working, but I know that I am called and led to build something to impact the world. So what does this look like now? Sometimes that is how I persevered, was by not giving up on being a person of impact. You know what I mean? So yeah, that answers the question.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Actually, that gets into a completely different variety of the area of questions I wanted to ask you, because we all know that those things that you spoke upon aren't necessarily ones that you can just do automatically. Sometimes it can be challenging to walk that path and intentionality because of the work that it takes to uphold that, especially when it's you versus you. So with that being said, how is it what was the journey like for you in recognizing, okay, I am understanding that this is the perseverance that I know is true for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to walk it in reality and get through these obstacles that keep coming to me.
Mm-hmm. So what was that like for me is what you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and what were like some takeaways that you had from the experiences?
Yeah. So I'll give a bit more specificity.
Mm-hmm.
Specificity on exactly what the context of the situation was for me. So for those that don't know, I started a nonprofit when I was 16. It was 2017. And it started off as a youth ministry support group type of thing that I just wanted to do for my house, where people of all different backgrounds and beliefs could come into, well, my parents' living room technically, and have a safe space where they could talk about their faith, growing in God, etc., etc., etc. So, boom, I did that. That was amazing. Hundreds of people, like over 100 people, teams specifically, came in and out of what was Reach at that time. And so it was a thing. Like, it was a thing in the Conyers, like east side of Atlanta area, where people knew about Reach, even if they'd never been. Like, it was a thing, and the community that was built and how people were impacted. And so that went on for 2 years until it was time for me to go to college. And somewhere in 2019 to 2020, my beliefs shifted drastically when it came to Christianity specifically, and how I was brought up, and just different things that I began to question, be more curious about too, because a lot of times curiosity and asking questions, being inquisitive is not encouraged, especially in fundamentalist Christianity, where it's like black and white, this is what this is, no questions asked. So I began to challenge that just from different things that I went through. So now here I am, with where I built this ministry, where a lot of people are looking to me as a leader. I built community. Even when I went off to college for the first time at Hampton, I passed it down to somebody to take over back home. And she was continuing it. And meanwhile, my beliefs are like shifting right before my eyes. I'm like, I don't even know.
How can I show up?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was an insane time for me to go through. Like, I didn't even know, because I didn't feel like I needed to shut it down. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't continue as it was before. So it had to go through this rebirth period. But
that's good.
But for a minute, though, it was a 3-year period, right? I had no idea what the vision was. But
that's real.
Like, exactly. Very real, because it's like I still have to keep persevering through that time period, because I kept getting signs that I believe were divine at like literally perfect timing. Every single time where I was at my wits and I was like, I don't know what this is anymore. I kind of want to quit. We're doing these random events where it's like, what even is going on for real?
Yeah.
And I would just get these signs that I felt were very divine, where it was like, no, you need to persevere. You need to push through to the other side. To get to the light at the end of the tunnel, where things are going to make sense finally.
Yeah.
So it was actually a 3-year period. It was not until it was June of last year, 2024, where I finally got the clarity and the vision of what Reach worldwide is now, And so during that 3-year period of just like waiting and persevering, to answer your question, it looked like just taking action, like even if something where I was like, I don't know if this is a thing, but I'm just going to see. I'm going to test it out, you know. And I had to actually do it. You know, I had to actually execute and see how it felt, see if, you know, it felt aligned. And in doing that, though, I was able to get to the clarity I'm at now. But had I not took action, I wouldn't have known what felt right and what was in alignment with where we are now. If that makes sense. So, yeah. Yeah. Crazy time.
Yeah, no, I feel that because that speaks to a whole lot of different things all at once.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that you were experiencing that in those different phases of life where essentially you were really meant to just be able to develop your own understanding before, you know, jumping into it, but it came to you so naturally. Where it was like you just following your passion led you to be in this space, led you to have to balance out those aspects. So for you, what was it like identifying where that balance came from?
Whoa. Wow. Dang, that's a good question. For me, it was, again, going back to like executing things and seeing what stuck. You know, like, I think, but I can kind of walk you through like the different transitions is what I thought Reach was going to be. Yeah. Like at one point, I wanted it to be kind of like a support space, a support group for people who were wanting to explore their faith in different ways, you know, outside of just fundamentalist Christianity and them having a space where they could do that. Because that was kind of what I was going through at that time too, where I was like, I kind of wish that like people had a space where they knew they weren't alone in this. So I think what I got from that period, because that didn't really stick all the way, but I really got from that was wanting to build people up, you know, and letting them know that, you know, they have all the power within themselves to be of support to themselves and to be able to trust themselves and what they're experiencing and what they're going through. And knowing that they're enough, you know what I mean? And then at one point too, I was doing a lot of mental health work. So I was like, okay, maybe this should be a support group for those who are going through mental health, behavioral health conditions. Because I have a behavioral health condition, technically, ADHD and slow processing speed. So I went through a training for me to be able to support other youth that were experiencing that as well and being able to guide them. I was like, maybe Reach is for that.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so, exciting.
Yeah. And so I was kind of building that for a minute with Reach being that, and it didn't stick all the way either. You know, I tried to launch a couple things, and it just didn't stick. And it was like, okay, this isn't quite right, but there's something here, you know. And so there was just different things, different iterations that I kept trying, and you know, be like, this isn't quite it, but I can pull something from this to continue forward. Like it was just like I kept getting closer and closer and closer to what felt right. Like this is the thing that we're supposed to be doing. And it felt like getting pieces of a puzzle almost, you know, like I knew there was this big picture and the experiences that I was going through were giving me the puzzle pieces that would make up the big picture. So that's kind of how it was for me, you know, but it took 3 years. Like that's what people don't know and understand. Like it took 3 years of patience, you know, also not like quitting on something feeling aligned.
That's a good one. I need to hear that.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Dang, okay.
Because
for sure.
It's like I had to have faith that it would get to that point where it felt aligned. You know what I mean? Because when something doesn't feel aligned for such a long time, you're like, all right, I've been at this for 3 years. Is this ever going? It's like, no, I had to have faith for that period. I had to, you know, believe that this divine these divine signs that I kept getting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that I felt were true and were real. I had to have faith in that, you know. So yeah, it was a time for sure.
Wow. And I really want to get more in depth with you and, you know, talk a little bit more. But we do have to be cognizant of the equipment that we got to deal with presently. So with that being said, I wanted to transition briefly to one last question.
Yeah.
And I wanted that last question to come from you. Because we didn't get to really go into the very nitty gritties of the things like your nonprofit.
Yeah.
But one thing I do love about you and your platform is the fact that it's very professional. And you can literally go to her website and find everything that you need. So you're going to get all of her social medias, all of her ways that in which you can connect further, because it will explain everything. But with that being said, I wanted to pass it off to you one last time to ask you if you had any questions for me as we enter into the last couple minutes of the episode.
Yeah, I guess what has perseverance looked like for you as you've been building this platform, other things in life that you've created and built? What has perseverance, you know, look like in action for you in that day to day?
Honestly, a lot of good points that you made earlier were experiencing, continuing even when you feel like you've lost that vision from initially. And I can say the same thing for me. Like, a lot of the opportunities that I've gathered have happened coincidentally, haphazardly, if that makes sense. Like, I know I'll be doing something that God led me to, but while I'm doing it, in the midst of, you know, going through the motions and trying to fulfill it to the best of my ability, that vision gets lost, and it's like, one day, is it random? No, technically not. But haphazardly, something just lands in my lap that leads me to something else, and it's like, oh, dang. Now I'm in this like reset period of trying to understand, you know, making sure I know what I'm doing and able to, like you were mentioning earlier, show up to those things and events even as I'm evolving internally. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Don't ever disqualify yourself from showing up in certain spaces just because you don't have everything figured out yet. Because everybody's figuring it out.
I know y'all need that too. So, I mean, really, it's going to be amazing. So with that being said, can you please let the people know where to find you, get in touch with all of your socials and everything so that they can be abreast of how they can help or, you know, even donate?
So you can find like my personal Instagram and social medias, LinkedIn, et cetera, at Faith Shamley. And as far as the work I'm doing with my nonprofit, this is a whole nother story for another day, but I ended up recently combining all the efforts we've been doing under my organization under another organization that does the exact same work that we're doing, and just at a larger scale with more resources. I've been able to join their team.
Oh, wow.
So
that's amazing.
Yes. So the name of that organization is called Back Black. Back Black, that's BLACK. And the main idea is to back Black-led and back benefiting nonprofits through capital, community, and capacity building. And so, all the activities I've been doing under Reach Worldwide, I will come under them now for the time being through August. So we'll see if I'll continue, you know, with my organization separately after August or continue with them. So for now, you can find all of the work that I'm doing to help nonprofits under Back Black.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, as you know, we can really sit here all day and talk and go more in depth and get more thorough and nitty gritty. But as you know, y'all got to go. So with that being said, please know that y'all are going to see her again. Whenever the time aligns, we gonna have another talk for sure. Most definitely. So we out of here. Peace.
Bye.